Hello, this is your host, and today's question is, can we recall past life memories in a dream? Let's discuss a very interesting case which went viral on social media a few years ago. It was reported in England and also in the US. The case is called the Pollock twins reincarnation case. You can search for it online. There were two young girls, identical twins. Their names were Samara and Senna. They are from England. The girls had no idea that their parents had given them those names. But one day they were playing and they started talking about their names. And they said, "Our names aren't Samara and Sen, right? Our names are totally different." So the parents were baffled because they couldn't believe that their daughters would know their real names because they never told them. So they asked the girls what their names were. And the girls said, "Our name is Jessica and our name is Jennifer." They also described how they used to spell their names. They spelled Jessica with all capital letters and Jennifer with all capital letters. So they got really freaked out because they thought, "Oh my goodness, are these girls really remembering a past life?" It gets even crazier because the parents then asked them to describe what they looked like, what they wore, what they did in their previous life. And the girls started describing everything in detail. This is what they said. "We wore glasses and we were blonde with long hair. We were 8 years old. We lived in a house with a big garden. We had 2 dogs. One was white and brown, and the other was all white. We remember sitting at a table drawing pictures." The girls remembered little things like this. They talked about how they liked to eat corn and sugar. They liked to dip toast in coffee and pour ketchup on their eggs. They said they enjoyed spaghetti with meatballs and hot dogs. They said they didn't like peas, beans, or broccoli. They drank Overtoun every night before bed. They always wore socks with sandals. They rode a bike with a red basket on the handlebars. And they said they had an accident on the bike where they hit a bump and both of them fell onto concrete and that killed them. When the parents heard this, they were shocked. They thought, "Wow, these girls are remembering a past life." Then they said, "Wait a minute. Do you remember anything else? Do you remember the names of your parents?" And the girls started describing their parents, the way they looked, what they did, what they wore, what their voices sounded like. They even remembered little mannerisms, like their parents' tapping habits and how their father scratched his nose when he was thinking. They also remembered that their parents used to argue a lot, and they knew the reason why the parents were arguing. They said, "Mom was in love with someone else. She had a boyfriend on the side. She was always going out with him and she wasn't spending time with us." That's what the girls said, and it blew the parents' minds because it turns out that was exactly true. The mother did have a boyfriend on the side. She was cheating on her husband. She was going out with this guy all the time. They were hanging out, and the father suspected something was going on. He knew that his wife was doing something behind his back, but he didn't know what it was. The girls remembered all this. Then the girls described their house. They said they lived in a big home with high ceilings, big windows, and wooden floors. They said they had a swing in the yard and that there was a big hill nearby and a road with lots of traffic. This is where it gets crazy. The parents had no idea any of this was true, so they decided to find out if it was true. The parents started searching online. They searched for houses just like the girls had described, and they found a picture of the exact house. Then they realized, holy cow, these girls might be remembering a past life. And the story goes viral. But is this a case of reincarnation or something else? Well, I think it's worth mentioning that twin studies have shown that identical twins can share memories. Sometimes they'll have these shared memories without even knowing each other. Now, in this case, the twins were only 4 years old when this happened. They were only 4 years old when they started remembering these memories. So the parents should have asked the question, "Did you guys talk to someone about this? Did you read this somewhere? Or did you see a TV show about this?" Because if they talked to somebody about this, if they saw a TV show about this, maybe they could have gotten their wires crossed. Maybe they were misremembering things. Now, we don't know if the girls had been talking to someone about this or reading something, watching something on TV, because the news article doesn't say. But I do have to wonder if perhaps they were talking to each other and they created these memories together. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have a past life. I'm not saying that they weren't reincarnated. I'm just saying that we can't rule out the possibility that they were talking to each other and sharing memories. And I think it's important to ask, why would these girls come back as identical twins? If they were reincarnated, why would they come back as the same people? Wouldn't they want to experience something different? Wouldn't they want to be born into a different family? Maybe as a boy this time, or maybe as a girl, something different. Why would they want to repeat the exact same thing? I also have to say that the memories that they were recalling, they weren't just random memories. They had a story. They had a beginning, middle, and end. So, for example, the girls said they were born in the early 1960s. They grew up in the 60s and 70s. They died in the 80s. They had a really vivid memory of the year 1984. They said they knew that John Lennon had died in 1980, and they said they knew that Princess Diana died in 1997. So they were kind of giving clues about when they lived. They were giving specifics about when they lived, and they knew things that people nowadays wouldn't know. Like, why would they know who John Lennon was unless they lived during the time of John Lennon? I also have to wonder if the girls were picking up on some kind of energy from their parents. Maybe their parents missed their old house. Maybe their parents often talked about their old house. Maybe their parents had pictures of their old house. Maybe they had the scent of their old house. Maybe their parents still had some of their old belongings, and the girls were picking up on these vibes and these feelings, and they were having these dreams. I mean, we don't know if the girls had a past life. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just saying that this case isn't as convincing as it seems. There are many cases like this that pop up on the internet. They go viral. People freak out, and then later on it turns out it was a case of mistaken identity or false memories, or they were talking to someone about it. They were misremembering things. One thing we have to keep in mind is that the vast majority of people who claim to have past life memories can't prove it. Usually, these stories don't have that much detail, and when they do have detail, they usually have a lot of gaps. Like there will be parts of the story that make sense, but then there will be huge gaps. And when you hear stories like that, you have to be a bit skeptical, because if they really had a past life, wouldn't they remember more things? Shouldn't they remember everything that happened in that life? But usually that's not the case. People who claim to have past life memories usually remember a few things here and there. They remember a house, they remember a parent, they remember a name, but they don't remember everything. Now, this case does have some detail, but it's still missing some key pieces of information. For example, if the girls really were born in the 1960s, why don't they remember more things about the 60s? Why don't they remember famous people from the 60s? Why don't they remember events from the 60s? When you think about it, it makes you wonder. So, what do you think? Do you think these girls really had a past life? Do you think they were reincarnated? Or do you think this was a case of twin telepathy? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy this channel, please hit the thumbs up button. That really helps me out. Also, subscribe and share. I would love to have you back for the next video. And if you have a good idea for a video, leave it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.